In 1994, Illinois had a $15 billion pension hole. The fix they pass is why it's now $218 billion. Every person in Illinois owes about $15,000 toward it. Nobody ever voted for that debt. The fix was a ramp. Pay a little now, pay more later, finish in 2045. 50 years of later. Detroit made this same bet in 2005 and went bankrupt 8 years later. Illinois made it earlier and is still climbing. A pension isn't charity. It's wages a teacher already earned, deferred, promised in writing, payable decades after the work was done. That promise sat in a drawer for 30 years while the state spent the money it should have set aside. By 1994, the hole was $15 billion, and almost none of it came from markets. It came from payments simply skipped. So they wrote a bill, bipartisan, celebrated, signed by a governor. Everyone agreed it solved the problem. It solved nothing. The plan cut payments for 15 years. Small now, enormous later. The pain was scheduled for someone else. But the debt kept compounding the whole time. Interest doesn't pause because a legislature decided to pay less this year. So the gap widened underneath the ramp. Every year of relief made the climb ahead of them steeper than before. It was never a repayment plan. It was a delay, written into law, with a 50-year expiry date attached. The easy years passed exactly as designed. 15 budgets came and went, and nobody in office had to choose. Each governor inherited a steeper climb than the last, and handed an even steeper one to whoever came next. By the 2010s, the payment was no longer small. It was the fastest growing line in the state budget. So Illinois borrowed money to make its pension payments. It issued bonds to pay off a debt using another debt. Every year, that trick buys one more year and adds fresh interest on top of the interest already owed. Then the squeeze showed up somewhere nobody was watching. Not in pensions, in everything else the state paid for. Universities lost funding, schools lost funding, services were cut, not because they failed, but because the ramp came first. Pension costs stopped being a retirement story. They became the reason there was no money left for anything else. Today, Illinois owes $218 billion it does not have. That is the gap, not the total. The system is about 50% funded. For every dollar promised to a retiree, roughly 50 cents actually exists. That is among the worst funding ratios in the United States, and by most measures, the worst pension crisis nationally. New Jersey sits just behind it. Kentucky, Mississippi, Hawaii, and New Mexico are all in the same territory. 6 states are below 80% funded, with pension debt above 10% of everything their economies produce. So this isn't one state's accident. It's a method. It was legal and it was popular at the time. The ramp still has 19 years left to run, and the steepest part of it has not happened yet. The payments scheduled for the 2030s are far larger than anything the state has ever actually paid before. Which brings us back to Detroit, because Detroit ran this exact play, and we already know how it ended. Borrow to pretend, pledge tomorrow's revenue, push the reckoning past the next election. Eventually, run out of tomorrows. But here the two stories stop matching, and this is the part that should genuinely worry you. Detroit could file for bankruptcy. A judge erased $7 billion, and the city walked out the other side. A state cannot do that. There is no chapter of the bankruptcy code that a state is allowed to file under. There is no judge. There is no grand bargain. There is no door marked exit at the top of this climb. So the money gets paid or the promises get cut. Those are the only two doors that actually exist. Either taxes rise to meet it, or services shrink to fund it, or retirees are told the number changed. And the people closest to that decision are the ones who already did the work and went home. Detroit's warning was visible from the air for 60 years, and nobody looked down until the lights went out. This one is easier. This one has a date printed on it, 2045, written into the law itself. Somebody will be standing here when the climbing stops. The only question left is who and what they're told.